On the Ukraine front, one switch at SpaceX just turned parts of Russia's battlefield internet entirely off. Ukrainian officials say Starlink terminals used by Russian forces suddenly went dark after SpaceX rolled out a whitelist so only approved devices could connect, calling the impact on Russian command and control a catastrophe. New restrictions also cut service for terminals moving above certain speeds, targeting drones and fast vehicles. It's a tactical win for Ukraine, but it's also a preview of something that should make everyone nervous. What happens when one company effectively owns mission-critical infrastructure in a war? Starlink isn't just another vendor in Ukraine. It's the backbone for troop communications, drone operations, and civilian connectivity in blacked-out areas. In many regions, there is no easy fallback. If Starlink goes down, you don't just lose Wi-Fi, you lose coordination. This means that Elon Musk and SpaceX sit in a uniquely powerful position. With a software update, they can decide which devices work on a battlefield and which don't. Today, they use that power to hurt Russia, aligning with Ukrainian and Western interests. Tomorrow, that same power could be used in ways that democratic governments don't like. And that's when the monopoly problem comes in. We've been taught that monopolies are bad in consumer markets because they drive up prices and kill competition. But they're even more dangerous when what's being monopolized is a capability states now depend on to fight wars. When one firm owns the satellites, the terminals, and the software stack, everyone, from Ukraine's generals to NATO planners, is effectively betting their strategy on a single commercial vendor. If that vendor changes its terms of service or its leadership or its risk appetite, there's no easy plan B. SpaceX might not be a pure monopoly globally, but in the specific niche of rapidly deployable, high bandwidth satellite internet for conflict zones, they're very close. Alternatives do exist on paper, but not at the same scale, speed, and price. That's why Ukraine leans so heavily on Starlink in the first place. Think about how uncomfortable we'd be if one private company owned every highway in a country and could decide overnight which vehicles could use them. That's where we're drifting with critical digital infrastructure. The irony is that governments helped create this dependency. They embraced private space companies to cut costs and move faster. That makes sense. They outsourced capabilities instead of building redundant public systems. It made sense, especially in peacetime. In wartime, it means that a CEO's risk tolerance and personal politics suddenly matter as much as a defense minister's strategy. And monopolies aren't good, really, in any sector. But when a near monopoly controls something mission critical in a war zone, that's just a different category of risk. It's not just about prices or innovation, it's about sovereignty. And Ukraine's use of Starlink has been a lifeline. Russia's reported loss of access is a huge tactical blow. Both things can be true, and we can still be uneasy about the precedent. Because the more our wars, elections, and economies depend on privately owned choke points, the more power shifts from democratic institutions to whoever owns the choke. If the future of conflict runs through a handful of private networks, the question isn't just which side they're on today, it's what happens when their business interests, their monopolies, or their acceptable use policies collide with what elected governments decide they need to do next.